Considering Stanford nearly screwed the wrestling program, should Shane Griffith even stay? Let's stop stalling and start talking wrestling. What's going on, wrestling fans? My name's Josiah, and welcome back to Fanco Wrestling, your source for wrestling news and discussion here on YouTube. And the question about Shane Griffith this week is whether he should or shouldn't stay at Stanford. Of course, it may seem like a crazy question, considering the fact that Shane just won the 2021 NCAA Wrestling Championships at 165 pounds. So why wouldn't he stay with the university? Well, Stanford decided to cut the program back in July of 2020, and I'm going to dive into this entire timeline here and talk about the reasons why he should stay and the reasons why he may not want to stay. So let's head on over to the whiteboard. So Shane Griffith's timeline starts all the way back in 2016 when he initially committed to Stanford. Now, he was a top 20 recruit in the class of 2018. He was actually number 19 on Flow Wrestling's big board. Let's fast forward a bit to 2020. What a season for Shane Griffith. I mean, he went undefeated, was 28-0, was undefeated as a freshman. Of course, we know that the 2020 tournament did not happen due to the virus, but he could have made quite an impact. Of course, we later know that he did in 2021, but we'll get to that in just a second. Because between the 2020 and 2021 season is when craziness took place. Stanford decided to cut their program in July of 2020. From there, the Stanford social media went absolutely silent, besides starting a new account about Keep Stanford Wrestling. After raising $12 million, over $12 million for this campaign, Stanford kept pushing to keep wrestling. Now, what's interesting here is that a lot of these wrestlers in December of 2020, just a couple of months later, decided to enter the transfer portal. Now, when they entered the transfer portal, they basically said that they would compete at Stanford for a full season, for one more season, and if they decide to still cut the program, they're going to transfer out. And so they were looking at other schools, but they were still wrestling for Stanford. Interestingly enough, they weren't actually wrestling in a Stanford singlet. They were wrestling in an all-black singlet with Keep Stanford Wrestling, and that was all that they were supporting. Let's go ahead to March 2020. Now, interestingly enough here, although Shane Griffith won the Pac-12 championship the year before that, this year he actually lost. He didn't win the Pac-12s, considering that he lost to Anthony Valencia. But at the NCAA championships is where he made huge strides. I mean, what an absolutely insane NCAA tournament. I'm telling you, 165 pounds is absolutely wild when it comes to NCAAs and freshmen. From Vincenzo Joseph defeating Aymar in his freshman year, to Micaiah Lewis stepping it up big time just a couple of years ago, and this year, Shane Griffith winning as a freshman at Stanford. Of course, the crowd cheered, Keep Stanford Wrestling. Keep Stanford Wrestling, because Shane Griffith made a huge statement by winning the NCAA championships. And of course, we know in May of 2021, just a couple of months later, Stanford is officially saved. But the question remains, should Shane Griffith actually stay at Stanford? Let's head over here. And now that we're back, we have an understanding of Shane Griffith and everything that he's been through in the last couple of years. Honestly, just the last year alone has been absolutely wild for Griffith and the rest of the Stanford wrestlers. You know, I bring Shane Griffith up considering the fact that he is the face of the Stanford wrestling program right now, and a lot of people are saying he is the sole reason that Stanford wrestling is back. And I do believe that that is a huge part of the reason Stanford wrestling is back, and a lot of these other programs at the university and why they're not being cut is because Shane Griffith did such a crazy good job. But I think it has a little bit more to do with other things. So really, after all of that, why would he want to stay? So these are some of the reasons why he should stay. And I do have a couple of reasons. One, I mean, he fought his butt off to save the program. He won the national title, and I think that can give him a little bit of leverage on campus. And by that, I mean, he may have a little bit of say with what happens with athletics and really the wrestling team kind of going forward. I think that even opens up doors down the down the road in the future whenever he graduates from Stanford. I think this can be big. The other thing is there is a new head coach coming in. So Jason Borrelli did leave the program and he went over to American where he is coaching now, but Rob Cole from Cornell is now the new head coach. This isn't just some slub grab. This is a big get for Stanford from Ivy League to Ivy League, and I think this is a good reason why Shane Griffith may want to stay. I'm always a big proponent. I always put out, it's a big proponent for me that it's good to get different training styles, different head coaches. I think that can be important, more so in like freestyle when guys switch to RCCs, but even switching up to a new head coach, I don't think that's the worst thing. I think that can be a good thing for Griffith. The other thing that I think you got to look at as a young student athlete is the money. And I don't know exactly what Shane Griffith was on before. He was a top 20 recruit in the class of 2018. Good chance he's on a good scholarship, but there's a good chance he's getting a full ride at this point, considering he is a national champion. I don't know exactly what happens at Stanford, but typically if you reach All-American status, you get a good ride, and if you get you win a national title in any sport, you're going to get a full ride to that university. Now, he is majoring in science, technology, society, so I'm not sure exactly if that's at other universities where he may want to venture out to, but I do know that he's getting a good education at Stanford. But why shouldn't he stay? Why should Shane Griffith leave and stick it to the man? Well, one, I already said, the head coach left. That's a shame whenever a head coach leaves the program. And I don't blame Jason Borrelli for leaving. He didn't know what was going to happen to the program. And when a head coaching position opened up at American, may as well take it. Will Shane Griffith follow him there? I don't know, but that is tough. The other part is it's not just the head coach, Jason Borrelli, leaving. It seems like a lot of the other coaches are kind of being forced out. Now, associate head coach Ray Blake had this to say on Facebook, and he was talking about how the coaches met with the AD. They were talking about this head coaching job and about Stanford actually keeping the program. He was offered an interview, but essentially told that they were clearing house and nobody was really going to be welcome back, and Ray Blake wasn't really going to be looked at as a head coaching position. That's ultimately when Rob Cole got the job. So it was interesting to see this. He posted this on Facebook. It's been circling around Twitter, but he also said this after the fact. He said, "I love our guys and will always be in their corners, but after 20 years with the Stanford wrestling program, the time has come to support from afar." So he is leaving the Stanford wrestling program along with a couple of the other coaches, and that's a shame. That's a reason why Shane Griffith may not want to stay. A whole new coaching staff? You put the brakes on for a second. I don't know if I want to go back to a whole new staff, and that's what a lot of things happen. As well as there's still guys in the portal. Shane Griffith is still in the portal, hasn't made up his decision at this point in time. But one of his teammates, Nathan Traxler, is already transferred to Virginia Tech. He will be a Hokie in the upcoming season. With Avis, with Woods, what else is going to happen with a lot of these other guys? Some of them may want to stay for the education, but some of them may just want to get out of there. And the last reason why Shane Griffith may not want to stay, why he shouldn't stay, is he just has to have a bad taste in his mouth. A successful program. A program that's doing so well, and after last season, an undefeated season, he's crushing it. The wrestling program's doing great. Could potentially have had a couple of All-Americans in the 2020 year, and then they cut the program for no reason other than, obviously, I'm not going to get into all the craziness, but what a shame that would happen. As for what I would suggest Shane Griffith did, I would wait to see where a couple of these other coaches are going. Maybe they're going to a different university, and maybe he can transfer out there and go somewhere else. It's not like he's from California. It's not like he's from around Stanford area and has connections essentially there. But I wouldn't look past staying at Stanford either. He can get a full ride, a lot of say in the future of the program, but I think wherever he decides to go, people will ultimately support Shane Griffith.